It's time for Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore. A Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. Brought to you by Joe Longhammer Chevrolet of Waterford. Plan your next vehicle purchase or get your credit rolling in the right direction with Regina today. And now, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning, good morning. You are listening to Be in the Driver's Seat, and I'm Regina. Regina, the Queen of Car Loans at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet, and I'm with my favorite business partner.
Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. T. Happy Saturday. Y'all see she got that singing going on already.
It's Saturday morning.
It is.
I'm super excited about the show today, right?
Yes.
Because we're going all the way to South Carolina. Right? Mm-hmm. That's where Carl is, all the way to South Carolina. And then we're coming all the way back to the Detroit, Ferndale, Michigan. We're all the way, and we're going to be talking to the famous Dr.
Michele Leno.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Good morning.
So you've seen her on TV, right? And you heard her on the radio, but she is in the studio this Saturday morning.
Whoop, whoop. I'm so excited.
Then we got my guy who I met on LinkedIn. I don't know if I'm older or he's old. Am I older than you? Well, we're not going to talk about age, right? But he is my big brother. So, we talk about being online, right? Mm-hmm. We saying people don't, back in the day, what was it about we didn't want to meet people online, right?
Yeah, because you didn't know who you were meeting.
Right.
You had to do some face-to-face.
Right. But now, ever since COVID, it's no meet that much meet in person. Yeah. It's meet online. Yeah. So I had the pleasure of meeting my big brother, my first big brother online, that I automatically fell in love with his personality. He just bring everything into a room. We was on Zoom, and actually we started together on LinkedIn. We did a mastermind together, right? I'm not going to say the mastermind person because we're not giving her no kudos this morning. That wasn't nice. But anyway, I met Carl Watkins. He is an ordained minister. Is that right? More ordained minister?
Yes,
and,
ordained elder, yeah. And
then he has his own consulting firm, Carl Watkins LLC, located in South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm. No, New Jersey.
Oh my God, New Jersey. Did I say New Jersey?
He's trying to put me down south. He's trying to put me way down south.
Right, I am so sorry. But we are talking to him for a few minutes this morning. And actually, you know what? This is the first person that I met, the second person I met online, right? Mm-hmm. That I have not met that I've had on the show. So, good morning, Carol. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. It's a blessing to be here. Yes, we've been knowing each other for quite a long time. And by me being from Chicago and you in Detroit, we got that Midwest flavor also. We do. But
we also have some similarities because guess what? You used to be in the car business.
Yes. I did quite a few years. Honda Financial. I was credit and collections manager. And I also wrote a lot of financial articles for their newsletter as well. So, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the car business also.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. Tell us what you do. What are you doing? What are you doing currently now?
Right now, I am a law student, getting ready to graduate from law school with emphasis on civil law, and I'm also right now leading my leadership team. I'm doing leadership training and development with my company. We're a coaching and consulting firm called Watkins Consulting here in New Jersey, and we just do leadership training and exercises and coaching and consulting all online, in person. Yeah, we just do it all.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, you know what? I was so blown back when I looked at your information. So not only do you do consulting, but when you responded on some of the questions, they just really grabbed me. So tell me a little bit about the people that you're consulting. Because you're a minister, how do you mix the two, or do you mix the two?
It actually has been a blessing to be able to do that because most people that are in the church try to infuse church in everything. I live church.
That's why I asked that,
right? They try to infuse everything, and I know the Bible says in business be men, right?
Yes,
but in the essence of doing that, there's a communication piece that must be had with people as people first. And I think that's what people really miss about what being in servitude is all about. Christ came for them. He had all the answers, but he came to engage the people that needed the answers. And that's how I do my leadership training and development and coaching. I kind of engage people. I'm not here to make you wiser. I'm here to take the information and the knowledge and have you apply it better. And that's really where I do a lot of my functioning in. And being able to do it as a minister, the counsel part is there. The delving in part is there. The understanding and the listening part is there. All of those are key points in ministry that has really helped me to fortify my business as well.
That's good. That is good. So, Carl, one of the questions that we asked you was, what was one of the questions that you rarely are asked? And so let's talk about that. What is one of the questions that you're rarely asked, period, in your business?
I'm really asked a lot about my vulnerability and how that plays such a key role in a lot of the things that I do. A lot of people play that as a weakness. Don't get me wrong. They've been talking about it. Brene Brown been talking about it. I often tell people I've been talking about vulnerability and leadership before I even knew who Brene Brown was. So in essence of that, it was a lived vulnerability. I didn't go and study nobody. I didn't write any term papers. I didn't write any dissertations. I lived vulnerability growing up in the streets of Chicago. They told me I was going to be past 25. And here I am, double nickel, 55 in law school, have my own business, entrepreneur, a lot of things that they said was not going to happen. So my vulnerability essence shows me that living the life that I live and gaining the experiences I've gained has made me an asset to people and to what they want to design to do. And I don't get asked that question a lot about, what made me travel this road. A lot of things happened in my life that I never asked why. I just embraced and saw how I can use that to make myself and others around me better.
Well, you know what? I love that you said that, but I got this burning question that I need to ask you real quick because I always say I'm not the churchy girl, but right. I do belong to a church. Right. Pastor Leon Porter, Overseer Porter at Champion Church, and you don't have to attend church every week to pay your tithes, just so you know. Because I do. I pay my tithes, right? Okay, so let me just, now that I got the Lord out the way. Again, let me say it again. You don't have to attend church every week to pay your tithes. Just get your money there. Get your money right and get your money there. And I know Dr. T is laughing inside because we got a little inside joke, but that ain't none of y'all business. But listen, you said your favorite book is the Bible. Or your most influential book is the Bible? But let's talk about that a little bit because I had never heard somebody say that's a Dr. T answer right there.
I tell a lot of people the Bible is the manual, right? It's sort of like you wouldn't buy a Mercedes and look in the glove compartment and see a Chevrolet manual. It's not going to tell you anything.
You might at our dealership. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you get. I just look at it as it's a manual to life, right? There's so many stories on there. And when I say stories, no, I'm not talking about nursery rhymes or Dr. Seuss. I'm talking about applications of God being in people's lives at all points and places of their life. It's not a shiny moment or a novel that says, this is the beginning, this is the middle, this is the end. The Bible gives you a lot of stories of people overcoming triumphs, heartaches, pains, the things of life we go through, right? And for you to get answers and consolation from that, reading the Bible helps me to understand where I need to endure, where I need to pray, where I need to back up, where I need to engage. So it's just like a manual. It's directional from Genesis to Revelation. It gives you the insight on how you should live life and treat others. And I think by that being a manual, which we're looking for directions when we read a manual, right? We're looking for understanding when we read a manual. It gives me that in everyday life. And I don't take it lightly that it's influential because it's made me who I am today, not in just reading these stories, but in knowing that I can live through the same things they live through. And it's all a belief in a faith. It's all a belief in the faith. You got to believe that God is who he is, and you got to believe that he is the one that makes the difference. Now, will it be sunshine all the time? Absolutely not. But I know I can endure rain without an umbrella, and that's what makes reading that book to me so influential.
You know, I do have to agree. I mean, how can I not agree? You can't go against the Bible, right? I mean, I would probably get kicked out of here if I did. But no, being in school for so long, I had gotten away from like anything that was self-help except the Bible. Although I'm not that person who goes through and read the Bible, so I'm not going to say that. But I do keep one around pretty much at all times, and especially when I travel. It's just when I have one of those little small ones that people were handing out at one point. But
right.
one of the things I'm back into self-help books again. And one of the books that I ordered recently, because people are always asking, you know, what are some things I can do? Because in my therapy sessions, I like to give homework. But there's this book called The Body Keeps Score. And they have a workbook on that where you can give assignments to somebody from dealing with trauma to just everyday situational depression, and it helps you to realize that whatever you're going through, although you may be thinking you're dealing with it, like those aches and pains, and your body's keeping score, your body's processing all of that. And so even if you're trying to deny it and forget about it, you still have to deal with it, because if you don't deal with it some way, one way or another, it's going to come out, it's going to manifest.
That's good.
It is. The self-help piece is where we really ignore. We really think that we can push through. I oftentimes get into deep conversations with people when they talk about grinding, right? I think we've been taught, and even from our ancestry have been taught, that this grind is something that has to be accompanied with your life. You have to always be grinding. You have to always be moving. I think in the essence of that, God also gave us a mind to understand how we implement the grind, right? It's not nothing that we're going to tirelessly wear our bodies out. They'll tell us. Our body will tell us. So you can't go to that. But I think self-help is critical, and I think it's something that's not really talked about. I think so much now it's put in a place of monetary, where people are trying to build businesses and foundations off of, but I think it's a way of life, the prayer life, the healing, the meditation, those things the body needs to sustain itself, and we don't give ourselves enough of that.
Yeah, when you're grinding, you're abusing your energy. You're not using your energy wisely.
So we're going to come right back with that. So we're going to come back with grinding and abusing energy. We'll be right back after we take this break.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Are you sinking farther and further in debt? Tired of living paycheck to paycheck? Facing garnishment, repossession, or foreclosure? Thinking of filing bankruptcy but still have questions? Call Lewis Law at 248-785-3780. Attorney Lewis has over 20 years of experience handling Chapter 7 and 13 bankruptcies. The bankruptcy code is complicated, and you need an experienced attorney to guide you through the process. We can take care of your bankruptcy and probate needs. Call Lewis and Law, 248-785-3780. We're a debt relief agency. We can help people file for bankruptcy under U.S. Bankruptcy Code. Paid non-attorney spokesperson.
You are back to listening to Be in the Driver's Seat, where we have Carl Watkins and Dr. Michele Leno. So when we went on break, Michele, you had your statement was about energy. How bring us back to that.
Yeah, so we're in this grind mode all the time, as Watkins was just saying, and at one point, you were praised for that, right? You not getting any sleep or getting 1 hour of sleep and then getting back into grind mode. But that's really abuse of energy. And I don't care who you are. you can't sustain that long term. I don't care how many different, chemicals you're putting in your body to help you. I have coffee
chemicals
right now.
With alcohol, right? Chemicals is the alcohol and them drugs.
It could be.
That weed or that.
Well, you definitely
that
won't sustain it with that, you know.
Right.
So even like with the caffeine, you're going to crash eventually. Yeah. So you don't want to abuse your energy. You need that downtime, because even your brain needs time to break away. It doesn't matter how bright you are. If you want to remain, bright and intelligent and witty, whatever you may consider yourself, you need that downtime. So give yourself a break, and you'll find that you'll go back more refreshed and able to think more clearly.
So, Carl, when I was reading in your questions, you talk about vulnerability a lot. But how, now that you have embraced your vulnerability and talked about how to be your authentic self, how do you balance your, consulting, family, church? How do you balance that? Because you all are talking about being busy. Booked and busy is the new thing, right? And I think booked and busy really is a trick of the enemy, because if you're booked and busy, then you don't have balance anywhere. You can be booked and happy, or booked and I guess balanced, but booked and busy gives us this illusion that you have to be booked and busy all the time. And that's really a trick of the enemy. So talk to me about balance. Now that your vulnerability and being your authentic self, how do you balance all of that?
I tell everyone that I talk to, especially in the realm of leadership, right? There's always an onus on us to be prepared. Being understanding who we're leading, understanding the deadlines, understanding those kind of things. But a lot of times I think it's really comes with being self-aware, and we're really not self-aware enough. That's really where vulnerability chimes in for me. It gives me the opportunity to be truthful with myself. Oh, I can't do this. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And a lot of times we paint this picture that if you can't do this, you're a failure. It's nothing less than the truth. There are a lot of things that are in my life that I put on my list that I have not accomplished, that I don't see happening no time soon. But that doesn't make me a failure in who I am. And a lot of times we push this narrative of we've got to be doing it. That is definitely, I'm glad you said that. And I didn't bring that up being the preacher's son, preacher's kid and all the above. It is a trick of the enemy to stay busy, because it's an avenue to take you off of focus. But I think when you're self-aware in who you are, whom you serve, and who you are, the focus remains. I'm oftentimes I use the story of Peter walking on the water. At no time at all when he was walking on the water and focused on God did he start to sink. But as soon as he took his eyes off the prize, he started going down. And this is how the enemy gets us. We're focused when we have our alignment and we're self-aware about the things that we need. We're able to do that, but as soon as something comes into view and it takes our mind off of that, that's what really draws us to the place that we are. So being able to be vulnerable is just that, knowing what I can do, how frail I am, when I need rest, when I can't pour from an empty cup. How do I recharge? How can I give to someone when I have not? Those are the things that we have to stop fighting past, and that'll create and that also have us to inherit our balance.
I think a lot of people stay busy because when they figure they're not busy, they're not doing anything. Even myself, I had to learn when I got in my 50-ish. Notice I said my 50-ish. Next week I'm going to be in my 40-ish. But
next week I'm going to be in my 50-ish.
That's right, because you're getting out the 40 club.
That's right.
So welcome. So, but I have had to learn that staying busy is not always good, because you got to have that that downtime where you got to reflect. A lot of people say that I'm always busy, right? Because they see me doing this, doing that. But a lot of nights, even just like last night when I got off work, I came home, I had a Zoom, I had a call at 7:30, and after that, the last 2 nights, when I had one call one night, one call the next night, I didn't do nothing. I read a chapter in a book each night, right, in a book, and I watched TV and I relaxed. And I just reflected. The TV was on, but I was just reflecting on my last year, thinking about my goals for this year, and it was reflection time. I needed I need to calm down, bring it down. And so I think a lot of people stay away from that because in their mind they think they always got to go, 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 go. But how do you figure that you don't have to go?
Yeah.
Well, how do you?
Yeah, you know what? And as you were talking to Dr. T, I thought about booked, busy, and balanced as a book title.
Right. We might have to do that, Dr.
Right,
Michele.
booked, busy, and
We might have to patent that, Dr. Michele. We're going to have to do that.
Just think if we figure out the perfect recipe for that, but sometimes sometimes you can be booked and busy, but it doesn't mean you're being productive.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't want to slow down because it makes us feel anxious. If we slow down too much, we start focusing on, well, let me see what Dr. T is doing.
Yes.
She's doing this, so now I need to get
Let me
back in the
stroll
groove and do
social
something.
media.
Let me exactly. So we don't always trust ourselves to take us, just sit back and relax, just chill. I'm telling you, that right there is so much more valuable than being booked and busy, because when you go back to being booked and busy, you'll be prepared for it. You'll be productive. But being booked and busy does not mean you're being productive. And it doesn't always mean you're doing what you want to do. You're doing what appears to be the right thing to do based on what your friends are doing, what society tells you, what social media tells you, but that's not always the way to go. And again, you won't even sustain that. Think about what it is that you want to do and fill your schedule with those things. But just being booked and busy in itself, that's not the way to go.
That's good. That's good. So,
No, and it doesn't accomplish anything in the essence of
Right.
that. It really causes blindness for you. It really does.
So, Carl, I hear you. And so do you deal with mainly men or female, or is it a combination of both when you're doing consulting?
When I do consulting, to be honest with you, 90% of my clients are women because they're in tune with the vulnerable piece that a lot of men shy away from. But over the past year, I've drawn some men in actually through their wives. And in doing sessions with the wives, understanding that, and this all goes back to that formative pastoral preaching kind of thing, right? You understand the counseling piece, and you understand the dynamic of what's causing relationships not to be, and what can be infused into those relationships as far as engagement. And that's really where the foundation of my leadership, coaching and training comes from, because it's all relational. It's all the relationships with how you build them, how you grow them, how you cultivate them, and what's derived from them. And that's the same thing whether it's across business, whether it's across the bedroom, whether it's across the boardroom. In essence of that. And once I really realized that, I understood that, I have the power, to be able to do that. But it has been women for the most part. They've been generally the ones that will be unveiling, will let you know the truth and honesty, will not be ashamed of answering the questions you ask, won't put up the facades of, especially on the one-on-ones. But for the most part, I've had a lot of men that has been reaching out to me, especially on LinkedIn in this era of vulnerability is key and a buzzword. A lot of people have been like, I don't really know what that means. How do I embrace that? What does that look like for me? And I've been on champion to answer the questions for them.
Wow, that's good. So, Mr. Carl Watkins, can you tell the listeners, how do they get in touch with you? Like if we want to book a consultation or we want to talk to you, how do we get in contact with you?
You can go. I stay in two places, my website and LinkedIn. You can go to my website, carlshawnwatkins.com. I have something on there, not for everybody, but I have everything on there for somebody. If you look on my website, it'll touch every essence of you. I do a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion facilitation workshops and sessions like that for corporations and organizations and churches. I do not leave them out because we definitely need that as well. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Carl Shawn Watkins. Definitely go on there, see my shows, my podcast. I got a podcast that I do called Ask Mr. Vulnerability. Yes, Ask Mr. Vulnerability. So I give you an opportunity to ask me questions that I answer and delve into as well. And it's just a pleasure to be able to serve people. That's really what all of this means to me. How can I be of service? That's really the mantra.
The greatest of them was a servant. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Well, Carl, we appreciate you joining us this morning all the way out of, I got to get that correction. I did that in the beginning, out of New Jersey. New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we appreciate you taking time out this morning and continue to be blessed.
Absolutely.
And thanks for always answering my text anytime I text. So I appreciate you. And tell the wife hello and, keep doing that great job of what you're doing of being a servant, leader, a husband, a great father, and all that and above. All right, we're gonna take
friends for life. Man.
Yes, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back because Joe Longhammer, the owner of Joe Longhammer, is texting me and say, "Queen Regina." He don't call me Queen, guys. He calls me Regina, or he just looks at me like, "Hello." Take a break because we have to pay some bills. We'll be right back with Dr. Michele.
Yes.
Yes.
Woo, woo,
Yes.
woo.
Be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Longhammer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have, from warranty work to routine oil changes. We treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule the next service appointment at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet. Find new roads.
My name is Marilyn Walker, and I am your advocate attorney. For over 25 years, I've helped your friends and neighbors by providing solid legal advice and strategy during difficult times. My clients will tell you that I am experienced, knowledgeable, caring, and reasonable. If divorce, custody, support, or visitation are critical issues facing you, stop worrying and call me, Marilyn Walker, the advocate attorney, at 248-332-2227. Allow a skillful lawyer to advocate for you.
We are back, and you're still listening to Be in the Driver's Seat, and I'm your girl, Regina, the queen of car loans. Just so you guys know, I'm about to go on tour with Janet Jackson. She called me last night. She did confirm we'll be on the Janet Jackson tour. We're going to start when she comes to Detroit. So if you need some free tickets, call Janet. Don't call me.
This is amazing, y'all. It's so lit in the studio. I just want y'all to know that out there.
Look, I want to go.
I said call Janet, Doctor.
Okay, I'll call
You got to
Janet.
call Janet Jackson.
Okay, give me her number.
Okay, I can't.
The direct number, right?
Right.
Not to her messenger, right?
So, listen, we're so excited. I know you heard the voice already. Dr. Michele Leno is in the building. I'm so excited. And Dr. Michele is a licensed psychologist, and I'm so excited to be sitting on the side of her. I have watched her. She has her own TV talk show, The Mind Matters with Dr. Michele. But there's some wonderful things that she's doing. She sits on the board with the National Association of Women Business Owners. She is so phenomenal. So I'm excited that she's right here next to me. Every third Monday of the month, I collaborate with other therapists because they have something to bring to the table, and we collaborate. We come together and not compete. So Dr. Michele has built a platform where she helps others get unstuck, to transition and cope with chronic and situational stressors. And I know that everyone listening today is familiar with COVID-19, and when the world shut down, we have seen so many, an influx of people coming forth with mental health issues now more than ever. So today I'm excited to sit next to a woman who has dedicated her life to see others be healthy, happy, and whole. So good morning, Dr. Michele.
Good morning, and thank you, Dr. T.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy that you are here. So, I gave you the introduction, but just let's get into it. So tell the listeners a little bit about who Dr. Michele is.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Michele. I'm a licensed psychologist. Now, what I do want you to know and spread the word, you can watch me every Saturday on TV 20 Detroit, Saturday mornings, 11:30 a.m. Now, for my people that are out of state, make sure you follow my pages you can just put Dr. Michele Leno, and you can find me. I'll pop up somewhere on one of those social media platforms. And the show is all about health. It's all about health, wellness. Again, every Saturday morning, 11:30 a.m. on TV 20 Detroit. There's streaming platforms. And all sorts of, I mean, you can find me. There's some way for you to watch if you want to watch, and just reach out to me if you're finding that you're not able to catch the show. I don't do, I want to say I get a lot of people calling me for therapy, and although I don't do as much therapy anymore, I can always make a referral. I'm still here to help, and I do a lot of consultations. My schedule is pretty busy. We were talking about being booked and busy. Yeah. My schedule is pretty busy. I'm learning that balance part because I want to be able to practice what I preach. And so, I'm doing things like this. I'm, in the studios with the great Dr. Teresa, and I'm doing things like this. So that's part of my schedule. But what I want to say in all of that, I'm doing things that I love to do. So I'm not, packing my schedule with things like, I got to go and do this and no, I'm doing things that I love to do. So just keep that in mind. That's one of the things as a psychologist, that's one of the things, if you don't remember anything else I said, figure out what you love to do and do it. And it doesn't have to be just one thing.
That's good. When you were talking, you said that, you don't do as much therapy. Is that because of the talk show?
It's because of the talk show. It's because of life. And, I just, I say that I need a break. I thought about when you asked a question, like, what's one of the things that people don't ask you, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that people will ask me, like, how is it to be a psychologist? And, are you, do you need to talk to somebody and things like that? Yeah. But I don't really get the, really, like, how are you, that type of thing. It's more of, I'm supposed to be understanding. I'm supposed to be here. There's all these expectations. I'm supposed to.
Wait a minute, you're the fixer, though.
Right, I'm the fixer. And it's like, I can't, but and understand, like, I had to say, you know what, I'm only human too. I can't just return calls all day. And then, with the cell phone, you have no excuse, right? In the world of, the minds of the people. With cell phones, you're supposed to answer calls all day, every day, right? There's no taking a break. There's no, and then with texting.
Especially if you work with the queen.
Can you stop it? No, you cut me off. No, let's be clear. She cuts me. You cut me off sometimes. Like, I just got back from, I had to deal with my people all day. I got to talk to you in the morning. And when she said that, when I call, she called me back last night. I was surprised. She said, I was thinking I got 1 minute, don't I? She said, yep.
Yeah.
And then it was at it.
Right, so that's boundaries, right?
Yeah,
that's boundaries. Boundaries are so boundaries are
so. My place.
You have to set boundaries with, I don't care, even with the people you love the most. You really have to set boundaries with the people you love the most. Yeah. But you have to set boundaries across the board. I mean, and that means that just because texting is convenient, it doesn't mean I can respond to your text right away. It doesn't mean I can respond to your text at 3 a.m. It just so it's just one of those things. I just had to. That was my long answer for. I need to take a break from. I can't do as much therapy because I'm busy and I need to take care of me too.
So I got this quick question real quick. So, Dr. Michele, what is the time frame when you text someone? What's the time frame a person should return a text in your mind? Should it be 48 hours? Should it be 72?
Well, if I text you, I want you to respond right away.
That's me too.
That's Regina's answer too. That's her answer too.
But I know that I don't always respond right away. But no, it should be before 48 hours. It should be
48, 2 days.
It should be before. It should be before 24 hours, really. But sometimes you do forget. It's like, I got to respond to Dr. T. She did do that.
She did do that.
I was like,
But I'm excited that we're talking about this though, because this is still a part of self-care. This is about setting boundaries and knowing what's going to work for you. And so I have been talking to Regina, my husband, even my daughter, and just doing some self-evaluations because I'm not designed to sit in the room all day. I'm sorry. God did not design me just to sit in a room all day. I'm a therapist. I love doing therapy, and I'm going to always do therapy, but I am not designed to sit in one place all day behind in a chair and do it that way. My calling is to teach, to educate, to be on platforms where I bring awareness. And so I understand where you're at. And in doing all of that, it's important that I still have my hand in therapy. I'm always going to see people, but it's going to be a different form of how I see
But you know what I just forgot to do? We got to take a station break, and I am at the 30-minute mark.
Okay.
I am a little bit over 30 minutes there. So we need to take a break because Uncle Buck, right, said, hey, Regina, you know you got to take a station break. So we're going to take a station break, and we'll be right back with Dr. Michele and Dr. T, 2 doctors in the house. Regina, the Queen of Car Loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Looking to buy or sell your home? Whether you're relocating to Michigan from another state or another country, moving across town, upgrading, or downsizing, Brenda D. Davis from Century 21 Town and Country Real Estate is your locally known home purchase expert. Buying or selling your home is a complex process. Let Brenda simplify it every step of the way. Brenda D. Davis, the realtor that moves you. Call 248-909-9711 and get moving on your new home purchase or sale today. That's 248-909-9711. Call now.
We are back to Be in the Driver's Seat, and you are with Regina Eileen Woodard and myself, Teresa.
Regina Eileen, did you get my government name?
Yeah, you know I love you today. So you're the Queen of Car Loans, but sometimes I do say Regina Eileen Woodard. Y'all can Google her. If you Google her, she gonna come up. Don't do just Regina Woodard, though. Do Regina Eileen Woodard.
It's still Regina Woodard. It's still Regina the Queen of Car Loans. Could you stop it?
Listen, I'm doing like you do Brenda Davis.
To that movie.
Well, okay. Anyway, everybody, I'm sorry.
But you know why I do that is because there's more than Regina Woodards out there in the world, that's why I know when I start doing TV commercials, I'm like, I will walk a lot of places, right? Mm-hmm. And people would know me. They ain't gonna tell you they know you. Just gonna look at you.
They gonna look.
And then
I
look at them. They looking at me. Corner of my. So that's why everywhere I go, I have to be careful what I do. Mm-hmm. Because wherever I go, I represent what I do, right? Just like you guys do, right?
Good.
But then my voice, and then when I talk, people do. So I got to be careful what I say too.
Yeah, that's real. Mm-hmm. So we got Dr. Michele in the studio today. So y'all, I gave Regina's name out. I love her, y'all. Just a shout out to the Queen.
That's right. I love her. I guess I love you too. Then.
She loves me. So, today. Dr. Michele, so balance. We're really kind of talking about balance and self-care and putting boundaries in place. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was males today. So I know we had Carl Watkins on earlier, and he really talked about vulnerability. So do you see that men tend to be vulnerable when they sit in front of you, whether you're doing interviews or whether you're doing actual therapy sessions?
Yeah, men are a lot more vulnerable than you think, than what they just show in everyday life. Because once a man makes it, I'm going to focus on therapy right now. So once a man makes a decision to get into therapy, and I don't mean he's been forced by somebody to get into therapy, but once he makes that decision and commit to the process, he's vulnerable. And he expects to have that space to be vulnerable. He expects to have you there to understand. I will say that men, as we're talking about the, texting and being available, men tend to want you to be available when they need you. They're like, I made this decision to be in therapy. And so, sometimes you have to establish those boundaries. But the good thing is that man wants to work on those issues. So it's just so important because men are starting to realize that they do have anxiety that they need to deal with. Mm-hmm. And that's a big part of it. And so it's like, and it can make them anxious if they're trying to get into therapy and can't find anybody. That's why anybody who reaches out to me, I really do make an effort that if I can't see you, I'm going to make sure you get to somebody eventually.
Yeah, that's good. But
connection.
Yes, that's good. Yeah. And collaborate with other therapists to make sure that the client's needs are met. I love that. But we're talking about vulnerability, and one of the things you said when they're not forced to go into therapy. Most of the men that I have had cross paths with in the past, they were actually forced, meaning their spouses asked them, their girlfriend asked them, if we need to go to see someone, and if you don't, this is going to happen. So they were given an ultimatum, and that's why they were brought into therapy. And so do you find that men who are forced to come to therapy, that they're forthtelling and more open, or do you find that it's just a chore?
I can speak to this. As part of in my career, I've done a lot of court-ordered therapy also. I've done criminal responsibility and competency evaluations, and had to recommend, that may be one of the things I would recommend for that person. But what I find is that they are somebody who's court ordered, a man might sit in my office and say, I don't really need to be here. I don't have anything to say. But, we're at like 50, 60 minutes and they're talking. And it's like you had a lot to say for somebody who has nothing to say because they get there sometimes and they realize that, wow, I feel, and I'll say this, they must feel safe. They must feel comfortable. They must feel like it's a trusting situation because otherwise that guard will remain up. But once they feel like they're in their element, that guard comes down and they just start talking and telling you everything. And it's like, okay, our time is up. Do you want to come back next week? One of those things.
So I noticed that you talk about safe place, right? So that's our goal, is to create an atmosphere where they're safe. But no matter who it is that I see, when they first come in, it's almost like they're sizing you up. They're trying to figure out, who is this person? Can I be real with this person? But what I've learned is that when people want help, they will come in and they will open up. But if there's a chance that they feel like you're not going to help them, because a lot of people are at the end of their rope by the time they get to therapy, and they've tried multiple therapists and some have failed them, I'm sorry to say. But, when they come in, how do you create that space?
I believe in, no matter who you're dealing with, meet that person. You have to meet people where they are.
Yes.
And, there's no, I'm the clinician, so I'm here and you're, I'm above you and you're beneath me. There, I don't have that type of authority. We naturally have some authority, and people want to know that they're coming to see you and you're going to help them. It's almost like they want to look at you as the genie who's going to wave your magic wand or something.
Save them. You're going to save them.
Exactly. You're going to save them.
Yeah.
So they do want a sense of that, but they don't want to feel judged. And so one of the things, when I used to do a lot of psychological evaluations that were court ordered, I remember when I first started doing this, one of the things that the person who did all the scheduling where I was working, she was like, you're my, like my silver bullet or something like that. And I was like, why do you say that? She was like, because you can go in and they talk to you. They may refuse with other people. She was like, what is it that you're doing? And I'm like, and I had to figure it out. And it's like, I just meet them where they are. Yeah. Like if I'm talking to a kid and he wants, a teenager, I'm going to call him a kid, a 15-year-old, and he's, sitting and he wants to like rap while he's talking to me. I'm like, who's your favorite rapper? What is that? You have to engage people. You can't
That's
like,
smart.
you can't like, say, okay, stop, this is not the time for that. You'll never get anywhere. Yeah. And so I don't care who you are. I try to meet you where you are and get to know something about you because we're two human beings.
That's a huge nugget, because I believe that any business that you have, anything that you do, you have to meet the person where they are. It's because I consider myself a licensed therapist when it comes to dealing with customers, because majority of my customers have Bruce credit. And I have to listen to their problems. Well, how'd they get there? What happened? All that. I told the guy yesterday, I said, honestly, you can tell me how you feel right now, but the bank's not going to care about your situation. The only person that's going to care right now is me. How did you get there? So they used to have some feelings about how'd you get to that situation, but most of them don't care. Because after COVID, they're getting tight. They're going to get it tighter on their money. So I'm your therapist. I'm going to listen, but ain't nothing I'm going to be able to do, because I'm just going to be your stepping stone or your release piece to be able to give it to me. But I can't, the bank's not going to care anymore how you got there. They're just looking at your credit report.
I like
That's
how you
all.
said that. I like how you said
That's
that.
it.
Because you were in the room with them. And so that's the same thing like what Dr. Michele and I do. We're in the room. We're present with you. Even if...
I'm present on the phone, though,
You're present,
of
but when I say that, like you're present, you're listening.
Yes,
And you're
yes.
actively listening. And you may not be able to have the solution at that time, but you're listening to them, and we can work together to get to the solution. And so just being present with any person makes a difference, and that builds trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And trust is so key in any relationship. We think of trust anymore, our intimate relationships with significant others, but trust is key in any situation, because if you don't trust, that guard is going to be up.
Absolutely. And you talked about meeting people where they were, right? So I remember when I first got into the business, I did not want to see children in the beginning because I knew that they would tug at my heart, right? But the Lord is so funny. That's my whole client base was children in the beginning, and I see a lot of teenagers now. And I noticed that the slang that they use, you have to be up on what people are saying. So I have, that's clutch. That's whatever they're saying, I have to know what that means. So sometimes I have to say, can you tell me what that means? And they looking at me like, what? Because it's a whole new world now with technology. Regina and I was talking about, technology, this new generation, they're picking up the phones, they're communicating. They'll type you a whole dissertation instead of picking the phone up, talking to you. So they'll type you a whole letter, but won't pick the phone up. So being in tune and being present with someone helps build trust. So, Dr. Michele, I want to ask you, you said one of the things that you don't get asked is, how are you doing? So I want to ask that question. How's Dr. Michele doing?
Dr. T, I'm great because I've learned the B word, boundaries. I set boundaries, and I feel like I'm really good at that. If I don't want to do something, most of the time I'm not doing it.
Ooh.
I don't mind saying no.
Do you feel guilty though? Do you feel guilty because people who are
sleep
booked
like
and
a
busy,
baby.
people who are booked and busy though feel like if they say no or if they can't do a thing, they feel guilty. But you said you sleep like a baby.
I sleep like a baby.
How do you sleep like a baby, though? I mean, what? So after your mind racing all day, how do you bring it down?
Okay, so that's where my boundaries come in. So I always tell people I don't work like late into the night. Like if I have something to do, especially if it's something like high stress, like where I have to, write a report about somebody's life or review something, I try to have a cutoff time. And so even if I have a deadline, I'm a night owl, so I'm up pretty late, but I'm not up at midnight working because I would not sleep. So I already have a hard time sleeping, but I've accepted that too. So I don't sleep straight through the night. So my sleeping like a baby is just being able to have that downtime. I probably get into bed around midnight, may not fall asleep until around 1.
So how many hours of sleep do you get then?
I usually get about straight sleep. I probably get 5 hours, but then I wake up and I go back to sleep.
So that's interrupted sleep.
It's interrupted sleep. It's interrupted sleep. I don't sleep through the night, but I don't feel tired throughout the day or anything like that. I'm not a nap person either because
that's how you look so young.
I feel
how you look so young.
I'm not a nap person because I feel like I don't know that. I think of this is my time. If I go to sleep, I'm going to miss out on something. I've never liked naps.
Feel that way?
Even as a kid, I didn't like naps.
So you don't feel that way? You don't feel that you're not going to miss out on anything?
If I take naps, I would. That's one of my reasons I think I don't like to take naps. I have to be exhausted because I feel like I might be missing something or I'm losing time if I take naps. But I can sit and chill. But I can sit and chill. It's just I don't want to go to sleep. I want to know what's going on around me.
It is funny though. A lot of therapists, psychologists, everybody I'm collaborating with, we really don't sleep.
Yeah.
Not like what's considered average, right? Because our minds do roll.
Yeah.
So even when I'm asleep sometime, my mind is things are happening and I'm conscious of what's happening. That is good. That I'm telling you.
And then we think of something. I don't know if you do this. I'll think of something, and I'm like, let me put this in my phone and text it to myself.
What? I got a whole yes, I do
I said,
that.
if somebody read my notes or saw my clipboard from my phone, they would say something. She needs counseling.
the psychologist needs help. So Dr. Michele, this is I love this. So Dr. Michele, for those who have a desire to get into the media business or TV, talk to us a little bit about that because this is what you do. Just talk to us a little bit about your show.
Yeah, so starting out, I gotta say I'm so blessed because I had somebody who had been in TV, Robert Moore. He had been in TV for many years. He had been in production. He was at one studio, WADL, and a few others, but he had been in the business, radio and all of it. And he was the one who, he was really interested in mental health. And he was the one who said, you know what, maybe you should just do your own show, like a weekly TV show. And that's how I got started. So I just so happened to fall into a team that had experience with media. So I didn't have to get that team together. People over the years had always told me, you need a radio show, or you need a talk show is is what they would say basically. You need a talk show. And I was never interested in media. I never set out to be in media at all. If you had told me like when I was in school, but I started being called to come on radio shows. But if you had told me I would be doing this, I would have like, been dismissive probably of it. But, but I would be called to do radio shows. And I got to say, the late, great Cliff Woodards had a show, Your Turn with Cliff Woodards. And he was like actually really the first one to like put me in that space. And I started doing a radio show with him weekly, but he had to be out of town. And he was like, I want you to run my show. And I was like, what you mean you want me to run your show? I don't do this. Like I come in and I join you. He's like, no, you can do it. You can do it. And then, just from there, I had other people around me to support Andre Ash and, who's out here doing his thing. And so that's really how I got into it, because I was like, okay, I get to talk about something that I love and something that I know about. And I mean, I actually just love doing it. Now, let me say, it's stressful. And as you know, Dr. T, you do a show. It's not all, it's not all fun and games and glitz and glams. You have to do some real work behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that goes into production. So if you're interested in doing it, have your team together, because you can't do it all by yourself. I mean, I see you have the queen here, and she has to keep you inspired, right?
She got to keep me in check.
Yeah, keep you inspired. You need people to keep you inspired, keep you in check. Make sure you show up.
For real, literally. But you know what, Dr. Michele, you said something. Regina and I was talking yesterday. We were on Facebook, and we were talking about when God opens a door for you, sometimes we'll talk ourselves out of the door. Like the first thing you said to this man was like, no, this is your show. I'll sit beside you.
Yeah.
And that, him pushing you out into the forefront, you saying yes, that has landed you to where you are today.
Yes.
And so when the door opens, sometimes we can talk ourselves out of walking through the door. So imagine what would have happened if you would have said no.
Exactly. And what I have learned, what I really have learned, and this is true, if you want to do something, if you have a real desire to do something, don't think about all the hows and, know your why, but don't think about how. Because if you think about how you're going to do it, that's another way to talk yourself out of it, because you won't have all of those moving parts that you need right away. And so you'll stay up all night trying to figure that out and still won't get anywhere. Just set out to do it and do something each and every day that takes you in that direction. And I'm telling you, that dream will manifest.
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday I was telling the viewers and the listeners, look, one step at a time. Oftentimes we want the finished product now. We want the end result. We want it now. They even got commercials. It's my money and I want it now. It's always a now thing, and really it's one step at a time. If you do one step every day, you're getting closer to the goal. Yes. But if you don't take a step, then you're still in the same place you were with a dream and haven't put any legs to it. So that's awesome. Regina, we said something yesterday, like I know I said, give yourself permission to be successful. Dr. Michele, have you given yourself permission to be successful?
Yes, and it takes some time. But I've given myself permission. I appreciate my success. I acknowledge it. And I acknowledge the people that have helped me along the way and that are still helping me. I mean, inspiration is so important to keep you going, because otherwise you wouldn't do what you do. And so, I've learned, again, going back to setting those boundaries, I've learned that I need to feel my schedule. If I'm going to be booked and busy, I need to be booked and busy with things that I want to do. Of course, there's going to be some things that you do because, you're taking one for the team and, for the love of what it's just that part of the job that you may not love that much. But most of the time, I'm doing something that I love to do, even if that's like sitting and doing nothing. And that's important too. If you want to be successful and maintain your success, you have to have that time sometimes where you're doing nothing.
So you need to trust yourself.
Trust yourself to be still. And if you feel anxious, if you find your heart racing when you're being still and you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed, that means you really, really need to be still.
You need to be still.
We and need just to take a walk.
Some techniques, right? Some calming. Switch the atmosphere up a little bit so that your body can calm down. So that's good. I'm so appreciative of this segment today, because it's really causing me to even look at the way I do things, period, and how I help others. So
while you're looking at what you do and how you help others, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we take a quick break. I want to come back and talk about Clifford Woodard. Is that the gentleman that helped you, the prominent attorney?
Yes, attorney Cliff Woodard.
Yeah,
Yep.
who passed away in a car accident. I want to talk a little bit about him and how he helped you. So we'll be right back.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
We're back and we're still talking to Dr. Michele and Dr. T. Attorney Clifford Woodard, I got about 8 phone calls, and I'm literally 8 phone calls after he passed, because everybody that knows me knows my last name, Regina Woodard, and they thought he was a relative of mine. And not only did that touch me, because people were reaching out to me like, oh, I heard your uncle or your family member passed away. Somebody told me, I wanted to give you condolences, and I never heard of him until. And then I guess what I'm saying right now is that you got to give people their kudos while they're living, because you don't know when they're going to take their last breath. When, I was talking to someone, I was on a call at Zoom yesterday, and someone said the mother called them a half hour before they passed, and the person passed. And the mother hadn't talked to them in a long time, right? So let's talk about what Cliff Woodard, attorney Cliff Woodard, God bless his soul and God bless his family, what did he do for you?
He was the one who gave me that space to say, okay, I'm in media. I can be in media, and I like this. It all started with a random phone call. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. He reached out to me and said, hey, I want you to come on my show. And I can't remember even what it was. He wanted to talk about ADHD or something. And I said, okay, I'm there. And and then it was from there to, I'm there, and he's like, can you come back again next week? Can you come back again? Can we make this a regular thing? And then, we would hang out also. But he was the one, like, he was like, you got this. He was like, you need to do this all the time. Like, he was trying to talk me into having my own show. And again, it was just kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of enjoying doing it. I don't know if I want to do this all the time or be the one responsible for hosting the show and, doing all of that. But, I have to give him credit. Now that I have a TV show, it really did start with him.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm really big on giving people credit, right? I say all the time, no man is an island by themselves. We all need someone and to be successful, right? And so I really appreciate that. I wanted to, ask the question, though, Dr. Michele, if you had the opportunity to work in any field, would you stay in this particular field?
I would. I love it because there is so much. I don't limit myself. A lot of times they think of psychologists. They think of us as therapists. You think of the couch, somebody's coming into your office and lying down telling you their problems. But there's so much more you can do. Look, I'm in media now. I have a talk show. There's just so much. I consult with people. I have people who call me and they just want me to consult on cases. There's so much you can do. So if you're interested in this field, understand there's so much more you can do. It's not just limited to one thing. You can still work in business. You can still make money. I know people, like that part of it too, but you can make money. And so, yes, I would, because I absolutely love it. I've made it my own.
That's great. So you've made it your own. That's good. I'm so happy to be in the field. So my last question for you, Dr. Michele, is how many vacations do you take? Like literally, because you have to, self-care is important, right? So I know you said that you make sure that you don't work late, but how many times do you just get away from it all, where it's just Dr. Michele with either friends, family, your boo, whatever it is?
Yeah.
How do you, when do you just say forget it and vacation? Do you make it a priority?
I have to say 2020, that whole time, that I did, but lately I've been neglectful on the vacations, but I have to get back. I am going to Paris soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to Paris in March, and so I am looking forward to that. But I'm going to get back to my vacation because that's so important. Even if I work a little bit on vacation, it's still different from being home and working, because I still consider I'm taking a break and hey, I can handle this from right here. It just feels better being somewhere else. So I've been a little neglectful on the vacations, but I'm getting back to that.
Well, I asked you that because sometimes we feel like vacations, we have to just fly somewhere or go out of the country. You can go
like
take a staycation.
Like you're doing?
Oh, yeah, you can take a staycation. I do staycations a lot, you know.
She's talking about me, like I'm doing. Listen, sand grounds me. So let me just put this out there. Sand grounds me. So Dr. T has to put her feet in sand to stay grounded. So at least every quarter.
I'm going to bring some sand over your house.
No, every quarter.
And I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to sprinkle it and be like, stand in this so you can get grounded.
I'm just saying, every quarter it's necessary for me to go and put my feet in sand so I can stay grounded.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I know is that we see a lot of people, we take on a lot of things, but you have to be able to release that in order to be effective. So, Dr. Michele, tell us any last words to our listeners today?
Take your vacations, take care of yourself, and your anxiety, your depression, anything you're going through, all of those things are manageable.
Yeah, that's good. And how can they reach you, Dr. Michele, if they want to?
Well, she gave that out in the beginning, but she need to give it again because I thought that was very smart. So we probably need to take that right there.
Yeah,
have people come on in the beginning, give their information, who they are, and then do it at the end. I peeped that out.
Okay.
That was a
all
good
right,
peep. That was
Michele.
Well, I do have a website, dmlpsych.com. dmlpsych.com. You can find me there. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook at Mind Matters with Dr. Michele. So, and I'm Michele with one L. I like to tell people, so just Michele.
I'm so excited. Dr. Michele, thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to us collaborating again. It was an awesome segment, and we're so excited that you found time for us today.
Thank you, ladies. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. So, Dr. T,
yes.
We had a great show.
We did.
You know, I'm excited. You know why? Because this is one of our best shows, actually.
Yeah,
because we do be in the driver's seat. We put people in control of everything that they do, right? But this piece right here was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah, so shout out to Carl Watkins. He was awesome in the first part of the show. And Dr. Michele, thank you so much. You all just gave us a lot of things to chew on today, and I'm excited.
Same here.
Excited. All right, you guys, you know what we do. Have a good week, and we'll see you same time, same location. You know, you can listen on the radio, you can download the app, or you can go to our Be in the Driver's Seat on our YouTube page and subscribe and hear the entire show on Monday. Yeah. So have a good week.
Yes, happy Saturday, everybody.
Happy Saturday.
You've been listening to Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Brought to you by Joe Longhammer Chevrolet of Waterford.
Be in the Driver's Seat, a Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. From Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore, thank you for listening.